Alright, this is Jack Gannon doing the final course video response for my U.S. Intelligence Community course. And how I'm going to structure this is I'm going to go over the five kind of most important things I've learned, or the things that I feel are most important, and then go over some things I enjoyed, and then one or two improvements to round it out. First thing, I'm not really I don't really consider myself well versed in the minutia of the intelligence agencies. I know the big ones, of course, the FBI, NSA, CIA, those ones, but beyond that, it gets a little murky. The fact that there are 16 different intelligence agencies was fascinating to me, and that they all have relatively clear goals. It's a glimpse into a world that I don't usually get to see, kind of as a both as a civilian, also one not. That's not really my area of expertise. Let's say that. In a similar vein, I had seen the words humant and SIGINT and OSINT before, but I never really internalized what they meant. And I, having done so, I do like the categorization of very, very old concepts into these delineated methods. I think that was interesting. Um, Kind of running down a theme here, seeing how spies worked beyond the abstract with my deep dive into Dmitry Polyakov earlier, and seeing how he had reasons for what he did. He wasn't some lunatic, and just how, I don't want to say easy, but smoothly he was able to do a lot of his spying. And in that, the acronym MICE, I think, is fascinating. It kind of distills, a couple thousand years of history into four words that I think is fascinating. Um, and then these final two kind of go hand in hand. It's the popular conception to, look at a laundry list of all the abuses that FBI and CIA have done and kind of assume they're just that, and assume they're operating under some blanket, um, but one size fits all warrant to just do whatever they think will benefit America or whoever is pulling their strings. And that they're all kind of mustache twirling supervillains. And I kind of learned that they do have restrictions and they're not evil, at least not as an organization. The director of Central Intelligence that position was created to solve a lot of the compartmentalization issues, and like throughout the history of the U.S. intelligence community, a lot of it is someone upstairs, the president or slightly below, getting frustrated by, I don't know what the left hand, like the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and the brain doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and it's all just a mess. So having some really top-down rules to limited success, of course. The DCI is a notoriously terrible position to work in. Not terrible as in like efficacy, but terrible as in whoever has bad experience. I don't know how well Tulsi Gabbard's doing in that position, but time will tell. Let's say. And then the internal side, just seeing how these are people, and they're not evil, and they do consider themselves fairly rational beyond the glaring missteps like MK Ultra or the Iraq WMD thing. There's one quote that I find interesting. It's 184 of the Zegart textbook, and it mentions how people give the CIA flack for giving weapons to Islamic fundamentalists in Afghanistan, and they must know how that would blow back on them, and I'm sure they did know to a certain extent, but you have to work with what you have, and I think it's important to read the quote. The implication is that if only some history professor could have told us who to give the weapons to, we could have found the Methodists and the Presbyterians in Afghanistan. And, the people making these decisions don't have the luxury of being 20 years removed And in an academic setting where you've had a whole bunch of people before you analyze it to the best of their ability, they have to work with what they're given, and sometimes they fail, of course, quite egregiously, but all the same, I find myself giving a little more slack to the intelligence services than I otherwise would. For things I did well, I really enjoy the textbooks. The Zegar book is one that I might just read in my personal time, and the other one, what is it? The Lowenthal book. That was a little drier, of course, but it's very useful to just have in my personal library. Your lectures were interesting. I enjoyed them. The quizzes, you've seen my grades. You know I struggle a little on the quizzes. Part of it's you, part of it's me. if I'm being blunt. I have trouble wrapping my head around the multiple correct answer portion. But I think beyond that one quibble, I think the quizzes do work. I mean, you obviously have to have some check as to whether they're actually doing anything in this course. The presentations were enjoyable. The essay we had to write was also enjoyable. And yeah, I enjoyed this class. Thank you for your time.